Hey everybody, it's me, Angel Benton, and it is time for another edition of Angel Sudsy Recap, where we delve into the world of daytime television and we do a few reality shows on the side. And one of those daytime TV shows that we do is Days of Our Lives. And speaking of days, so on the last Sudsy Recap that I did was about Below Deck, and I was talking about how EJ from Below Deck was back for the reunion. And my mom commented, she was like, wrong EJ, wrong show. She's a big fan of EJ Demera from Days of Our Lives. She loves her some EJ. I don't know. He's not coming back, so I'm not quite sure what's going on with him. But they did recently just say that, you know, he is still alive. But I haven't heard anything about him coming back to the show, so who knows. Plus Sammy, who is like EJ's main squeeze, she only comes back for short stints. So it would sort of be difficult because you know that they would go right back to being in the front burner, right? And I'm sure that other people on the show, as much as they love him, are grateful for the screen time that they get when he's not on the show. Okay, so on Days of Our Lives this past week, Kate's number was up. You know, she started blackmailing Trip, and then Trip tells his dad, and then she blackmails Steve and Kayla, and finally Steve gets this brilliant idea, which, I mean, this is common sense, but he goes right to Chad, and he tells Chad, and then Chad stands outside the door and records the conversation where she basically admits it. So we'll see how that goes. That was the end of Friday's episode, so we'll see how that goes next week. We'll see what, I mean, because he was like, how could you do this, you know? And she hasn't really answered him yet, so we'll see next week what happens and what he plans to do with this information and this proof that he has. It's very interesting. I'm still wondering who is behind... I'm still wondering who is behind the hacking attempts at Demera. I'm thinking it might be Vivian, right? I think it could be Vivian. Now, Tyler Christopher, who used to play Nicholas Cassadine on General Hospital, is coming to the show, and he starts in 1 or 2 weeks. But now, the show is saying that he's playing a new made-up character. And everyone still keeps saying, oh, well, he's EJ Demera or he's Nicholas Alamain. But here's why I don't... as much as I think that Nicholas Alamain, which is... I don't know. Was Lawrence Vivian's son? Or was he her brother? I don't... Or nephew. Oh, I don't know. All I know is that Nicholas was her nephew because he was Lawrence and Carly's kid. You know, what's interesting is that Nicholas has a sister then with Melanie. So it's unfortunate that Melanie isn't on the show anymore because that would be a good relationship to mine. Well, he's not on the show anymore either. He left the show years ago, years and years before Melanie even came on the show. So no wonder they haven't had any scenes together because they haven't been on the show in decades. Well, no, she was on relatively recently, but yeah, they let her go. So anywho, yeah, I forgot about that familial tie. Anywho, so I don't think it's either one of them. As much as I would love for him to be Nicholas Alamain, he's apparently playing some new character named Stefan. I think he might be a Demera, or maybe he might be a Kyriakis, or I don't know, but because the way he's talked about the character, he's talking about how they have let him create this character from scratch and start from, and you know, and you wouldn't really get to do that if it was an established character like EJ Demera or Nicholas Alamain. So I don't think he is either one of them. Okay, so having said that, let's talk about my current favorite storyline, which is the gays. All right, so the gays on the show, Will, Sonny, and Paul. You know, Sonny, let me just say this. I think Sonny is an asshole. I'm sorry. He is a dick. He is a full-on dick, right? if I was Will, I know I wouldn't have cheated on him, but still, I would have divorced him as well. I mean, he is the worst. You know, the way, first of all, he dumped Paul just because he's still in love with his husband, which was funny because, you know, as everyone has pointed out to him, they were married, but they were legally separated and on the road to divorce when Will was murdered, right? So is Sonny remembering things that didn't happen? And he's like, but we still loved each other, blah, blah, blah. I mean, really? Okay. So he dumps Paul out of the blue. And then, so Paul told Brady, and he didn't even know that Will had came on to Paul and had tried to kiss Paul. So Paul tells Brady, and then Brady couldn't wait to stick it to Sonny, so he told Sonny, and he was like, I told you that in confidence. And Sonny was like, yeah, well, that's not the first time you've ever hid something from me, is it, Paul? And he's like, really? I mean, it's so ridiculous, too, because for all that he hid it from Sonny, it was one day. 24 hours. 24 hours, and Sonny was in the hospital in that time, so he told him as soon as he was sprung from the hospital. I mean, it's just so ridiculous that you know, Paul's getting crucified because, you know, he was too scared to tell the truth for a day. A day. I mean, really? Do you know how many people Sammy Brady has murdered? Right? Franco. Remember her husband Franco from back in the day? She shot him. Remember Will has shot EJ in the head? Remember when that happened? Right? It just kills me. It kills me. So then he goes to Will, and the way he's talking to Will is just, it's delusional. He's like, we still loved each other. I miss my husband, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I don't feel that towards you right now. I really don't. And he's like, okay, well, let's start over. We can start from scratch and go really slow. And he's like, okay. He's like, move in with me. That's starting from scratch and going slow? Really? That's step one? No. How about you go to dinner and have a nice talk about the past and the future and all of that stuff before you actually jump to moving in together? I mean, yeah, I just do not. I don't approve of. I'm sorry, I'm just not a big Wilson fan. I'm really not. Ho-Rita, though. Ho-Rita, I'm still all about that. I love that name, Ho-Rita. I'm still all about it. Let's see, what else happened? In terms of Claire and... Well, no, let's talk about Ciara. So Ciara's back. And it's for you, Rose. So Ciara's back, and Ciara... She's a decent actress, but the material that she's being given is awful. It is the absolute worst. Like, she doesn't have any rooting value. I mean, it is just being related to a core character is not going to cut it. You know, just because she's Hope's daughter, she's lashing out against Hope, against Rape, against Trip, against Claire. I mean, I haven't seen her get along with anybody, you know. And then, you know, she's another one that, I mean, what is the Kool-Aid? I need to stay away from the Kool-Aid in Salem, because let me tell you, Ciara thinks that, well, if Theo had read her letter in time, he would be with her and he wouldn't have gotten shot, and him getting shot is Claire's fault. No. I don't think so. So, it's really frustrating as the viewer, because we see Ciara and she's this angsty teen and has all this, you know, pent up aggression, and she's so angry all the time. A, she wasn't like that when she left, and B, this is exactly the same crap that they pulled with Ciara when they first brought her, well, they first aged her. Personally, I miss Lauren Bowles. She was the little Ciara who was a real pistol. I miss her. I'm sure she's probably older now and probably looks great. I'm sorry. I would, yeah. I mean, I have nothing against Victoria Konefal who plays her. I want to say that right now. So, and she's a decent actress. It's just that the material that she's given is awful. And they wrote better for little Ciara. That's another point that I'm trying to make. I don't always articulate myself the best, so I do apologize for that. Anywho, I'm definitely, I love me some Days of Our Lives, and one of the things, so Soap Opera Digest, they used to hand out awards, but now they don't have awards, but they, bestow titles upon shows, like they just named Bold and Beautiful Best Show, but they named for Best Multiple Role, they named Eileen Davidson. Now, I thought it was because of Ashley Abbott and Susan Banks, but it was actually just because of just the characters on Days, which are all different from Ashley Abbott on Young and the Restless. You've got your Kristen DeMira, your Susan Banks, your sister Mary Moira, their brother Thomas. She plays them all, right? So, and she is a revelation as Susan. She really is great. I mean, I found gifs of her. I love it so much. I love Susan. So I definitely think that was 100% well-deserved. I just hope that they keep her on the show, they bring her back, Even if it's just to shoot on Mondays, because that's the only days that they have Dark from Young and the Restless, I still think that's a great idea. Anywho, thank you so much for logging on today. I do appreciate it. Please feel free to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Angel Benton. You can hashtag Days to talk Days of Our Lives, or you can also hashtag, what else can you, YR to talk Young and the Restless. And you can hit that subscribe button to get my YouTube videos sent to your email inbox every single day. Alrighty, everyone, I'm totally not drunk. I've had 0 to drink today. Alrighty, everybody. Have a great night. Peace out. Wubba, wubba, wubba.